today's episode of the KGI Podcast, we are featuring Andrew Wood, who graduated from the Master of Business and Science program in 2016. He now serves as a regulatory and business associate at Emmaus Life Sciences Incorporated. After earning a bachelor's degree in biological sciences from UC Santa Barbara, Andrew began working for Emmaus. In this interview, you'll learn about how Andrew's employer made it possible for him to attend KGI. Andrew, welcome. And to start off, where do you work and what types of responsibilities are involved in your position?
I work at a very, very small pharmaceutical company. I'd be surprised if you've even heard of it. It's called Emmaus Life Sciences. And we have recently got an approval for sickle cell anemia. And it's the first drug, actually it's not the first drug, but there hasn't been a drug for this patient group in over 20 years. So we're very proud of that. So I think now we're kind of putting ourselves on the map with this new drug. And some of my responsibilities, well, even though I was a bioprocessing focus, when I got into the company, they needed regulatory help. So a lot of my work revolves around regulatory affairs, NDA applications, INDs, and that's pretty much it. And because we're so small, 18 people large, right? I do a lot of different things, like not just regulatory, but also business modeling and preparing presentations, project management for manufacturing. So it's really a lot of different things.
On the regulatory side, for a student currently at KGI who's looking to get into that area, what advice would you have for them?
I would say get an internship, please, because you could only learn so much through books. I think it's very difficult to study regulatory affairs because it's a dry topic to begin with. I do think it's extremely rewarding when you're actually in a project and you see the results of your work. I know for me, we got an approval, and I was part of the NDA process. So if you can be a part of do a regulatory internship, or do a regulatory TMP, I think that would be extremely helpful. But I know for me, regulatory class was difficult because it's a lot of just memorization, right? but actually being in the industry and seeing all these things take into effect, like seeing what an NDA is, seeing what actually goes into the application, talking with the FDA, conversing with the FDA and trying to answer their questions, was very rewarding and fun.
And how did you first get your start with your company or in that area? Was it through, like you mentioned, a TMP or an internship?
For me, my situation was pretty unique, I would say. I used to be at Emmaus's research and development side, and then the CEO recommended that I go to grad school. And then the company actually funded my graduate schooling based on the fact that I would return to the company afterwards to, I guess, apply what I've learned. So that was my initial start at the companies. I worked in their R&D department, and then I did grad school at KGI, and then I returned to the company.
And looking 10 years down the line, I know it's a tough question, but where do you see your career heading?
That's a good question. I definitely want to be in drug development still. I definitely like science and business. So I like industry. I definitely see myself in industry, helping new drugs, in the development of new drugs. And 10 years from now, I hope to be in a leadership position. And maybe work on new age therapies, CAR T cell therapy, gene therapies.
And you talked about the unique situation where you're with the R&D department and then you went to graduate school and then you came back to the same company. How did you change over those 2 years, just from your KGI experience and going back to the same company with a new skill set or expanded skill set?
Absolutely. I've learned a lot at the school. In fact, I was surprised by what my company was not aware of. Because we're so small, we were missing a lot of skill sets, and I think I was able to bring a lot of broad pharmaceutical development knowledge. I was able to bring a lot of business knowledge. The regulatory knowledge, I learned a lot on the job, but from the school, I absolutely learned a lot about the industry itself, like what other companies are doing. I think that's very important to be able to bring to the table for a company such as ours.
And while you were at KGI, did you still have an impact on the company? Were there times where you would kind of check in or continuously working throughout your grad school?
That's a good question. And no, I was a full-time student, and they didn't bother me, thank goodness, because KGI is pretty intense as it is.
During the 2 years you spent at KGI, what course do you feel like had the biggest impact?
All the courses that mix the science with the business, I think absolutely had an impact. I think I learned a lot from finance personally. I think it's a very easy concept that can span a lot of different areas in life, even. Something that I think about a lot. Other classes, the TMP was very helpful, in my career, and knowing what other companies are doing. Working with I think it was Gilead Sciences on a TMP project, that was extremely valuable, in my opinion. I really like the medical devices class. I think Dr. Neems is a great teacher too. And Diana, her project management class, I don't know if she's teaching anymore, but that really gave me my first exposure to project management and getting the PMP certification.
And mentioning Dr. Angelica Neems and Diana Bartlett in that answer, was there another KGI faculty member who served as a key mentor for you during your time here?
Kirillin Save and Parvis, for the bioprocessing side. Great teachers, in my opinion. I don't know of any character like Parvis personally. He's a fun guy to be with, and he's super smart, and he really cares. You can really hear the passion for teaching, right? In terms of mentor, I think every faculty has the potential to be a good mentor if you ask them for help. I know Jay Chalk absolutely helped me when I asked him for help. I think a lot of the faculty have the potential to help if needed.
And that's good advice for current students in asking for help and getting the mentors that they can use going forward. And Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time on the podcast. And I guess lastly, can you leave our current students with a piece of advice as they go towards commencement now in May and head off into industry?
Take as many classes as possible, because I wish I learned about marketing. I wish I learned more about other aspects of the industry more. Even those law classes. I think having broad knowledge is extremely helpful. And internships start early, man.
Great. Thanks again, Andrew. We can't wait to follow your success at Emmaus and all the developments that are going on there.